The Caretaker is one of the most infamously hated episodes of Series 8 to date, and I honestly don't see why. Now, originally I wasn't going to review this episode because I don't really think there's that much to say, but since I already skipped Deep Breath and then decided to skip Time Heist as well, I thought I might as well have a look at this. So I have a decent amount of Series 8 reviews, because, spoilers, at the time of me writing this, the 27th of July, I have no plans to review the finale, and don't get me wrong, I don't hate the finale, I just feel like there's not that much I can add from what I said in my Series 8 ranking. And if you're wondering what's wrong with Time Heist, not much really. It's a solid episode, but it suffers from the greenhorn effect of being extremely forgettable, and there's just not much to say. I don't hate Stephen Thompson's scripts, as I feel like they do work as good filler, but there's rarely a lot to say about them. Anyway, yeah, Gareth Robert does character episode, usually what he does best. Let's look and see. This episode starts annoyingly by showing us the best of this show's low budget, where we see Clara trying to balance her life with the Doctor, and her life with Danny, but this opening made me realise that this was going to be an incredibly cheap episode. And this was going to be the money-saving episode. Now usually budget-saver episodes in the Moffat era range from an astounding meh to... it was okay, I guess. And coincidentally, Gareth Roberts wrote both the budget-saver episodes for Series 5 and 6, which I honestly think is a shame. The only episode that wasn't a budget saver to my knowledge was The Shakespeare Code and The Unicorn and the Wasp, which were both absolutely brilliant. And I feel like Gareth Roberts' writing was a lot better in the RTD era. Let's just pretend Planet of the Dead doesn't exist. Though, to be fair, you probably forgot it exists. His episodes penned when Stephen was in charge are just okay at best. Just serviceable. And this episode's opening just screams serviceable. However, admittedly, the scene in the TARDIS was pretty funny. And the introduction of the Doctor as the Caretaker was also pretty funny. When the titles rolled, I realised something I'd actually forgot. Moffat co-wrote this episode with Roberts. So, while I don't think this will increase the quality of the episode, at least the jokes will be good.
I lived among otters once for a month. Well, socked. River and I, we had this big fight.
Human beings are not otters!
Exactly. It'll be even easier.
I absolutely love Capaldi. My god, he's one of the best comedic actors to bless the role of the Doctor.
You want me to take your names? Come on. This is unfair, mate.
What absolute tomfuckery is this? If this happened to anyone in my head, there would be so much more language than, "That's unfair, mate." Luckily, the officer gets what he fucking deserves when he's killed by the villain of the week. Then we get another comedic scene where the Doctor tells Clara how she's wrong about some book. Because there is a lot of potential for comedic moments, and this episode does take advantage of that a couple times in some great scenes. The Doctor's teasing of Danny is done a lot better than Danny's borderline bullying, calling him an officer. More on that later. Then we get one of my favourite scenes in the episode where the Doctor sees this guy who looks a bit similar to Matt Smith and thinks it's Clara's boyfriend, and it is hilarious. Look at the absolute shit-eating grin on his face and tell me that doesn't make you smile, even a little bit. After a scene of the Doctor putting MacGuffins all around the school, we get another scene with the worst character from Series 8. Courtney fucking Woods. I don't know why constantly in Series 8 this annoying, unlikable cow constantly gets shoved down our throats. Seriously, I don't give a shit about her. She's an annoying, irritating, ignorant little brat who just ends up getting her own way in the next shitty episode for some fucking reason. Which is the second worst episode of the series. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Despite her supposedly being funny in this scene, Capaldi runs around her at fucking light speed. Line after line after line in this scene from Capaldi is just gold. But every line uttered from this annoying little shit makes the scene more annoying. So I honestly don't even know what to think of it.
Now get lost.
Okay. Hello, miss. Luck to the squaddy.
Bill, you shut the fuck up, you whore! After that comedic whiplash, we get introduced to the device of this episode, that being the Invisible Watch. This thing is really cool, but you'd think it'd come in handy a lot more in the future. However, in Series 9 they do make a joke about how the Doctor lost it due to its inherent design flaw, it being invisible. I'm pretty sure that's in the Zygon inversion. Then we get a chase scene with the Doctor and the Blitzer, which was really interesting. The way this sequence is shot is very well done. It's a very unique segment. And then, after Danny fucks up the Doctor's plans, we are shown one of the worst scenes for Clara in this series. And don't get me wrong, I love Clara. Clara is my favourite Moffat companion, but her relationship with Danny in so many episodes is so fucking annoying. She lies to him constantly instead of just telling him the truth. And after this episode especially, this just becomes annoying as fuck, considering Danny is fine with her travelling with him, but she just continues to lie and it's annoying. Like, why? However, this scene somewhat makes up for it because it's funny and Jenna portrays Clara's mini insanity very well. And the reactions from 12 and Danny are comedic as well. And to be fair, in the scene it's a very difficult situation for her. And then, for some reason, the Doctor shows him the TARDIS, and then, for another strange reason, they play hints from the sad man with the box here, which I can't decide whether it's genius or not. On one hand, the Doctor would be sad here because he's being exposed, and Clara is dating someone he doesn't approve of. Not that it's any of his fucking business. And, on the other hand, this is Capaldi's first series. We really shouldn't be playing music which was so prominent from the Smith era. Could we not have a new piece of music establishing the Doctor's sadness? In fact, using the 9th Doctor's theme would work a lot better here, as while it's sad, it's also mysterious and could add a lot more depth to the scene. And Moffat didn't handle his Doctors how Russell did, how both Doctors' arcs could be joined together for one massive arc. That doesn't work with Smith and Capaldi. Anyway, we get a brilliant scene with Danny and Clara where she talks about travelling, and both characters are very likeable here. And the dialogue is very well written, and I love how Danny's reaction isn't just stupid and over the top. And then, that's immediately ruined by the next scene in the TARDIS, which is so fucking annoying. So, first of all, Danny is challenging the Doctor. This, in concept, I don't have a problem with. How it's executed is the main fucking issue. Danny acts like an absolute fucking twat to the Doctor for no apparent reason. Like, he starts having a go at him the second they start talking for no justifiable reason. And you might be thinking, the Doctor was a dick to Danny in the whole scene. Here, it's justified. Danny just fucked up majorly and put the whole world at stake because of his interference, when the Doctor could have prevented that easily. In this scene, the Doctor is just doing his work and then senses Danny, and Danny reveals himself and starts treating him like shit. Why? He's not exactly giving the Doctor a reason to like him, and challenging the Doctor can be done very well. Rory often in the Smith era challenged the Doctor a lot, and the context made his challenging justified and fair as he sees how much faith the Doctor gives Amy, even if he can't back up that given faith. The scene where he says he makes people want to impress him is some brilliant dialogue in a meh episode written by the genius Toby Whithouse. And this makes complete sense with the context. Nardole is a character who most just overlook as the comic relief, but we see many times from the shitty 2016 Christmas special to The Doctor Falls that Nardole challenges the Doctor several times. And the context always makes him seem justified, because the Doctor will be acting rash or unjustified. I'm saying unjustified a lot. In this scene, the Doctor isn't doing anything wrong. He's actively trying to save the planet and Danny's being a complete arse. And keep in mind, both Rory and Nardole know a lot about the Doctor before they start challenging him on anything. Danny knows next to nothing about the Doctor, yet acts as if he knows everything about him, despite only speaking to him for like, what, 10 minutes at the most? This scene is the reason so many people dislike Danny Pink. A completely unjustified rant at the Doctor while he's doing nothing wrong. And don't get me wrong, I like Danny a lot. I think he's a very underrated, likable, charming character. But in this scene, he's absolutely terrible. Then, inevitably, the Blitzer comes back early and Clara does the worst distracting ever? Until we get the Doctor using higher authority power to shut it down. Oh no, it fails. Then Danny shows up, distracts it, and it stops. What? Did that sound like the most boring action sequence ever? Well, that's because it's easily one of the worst in the revival. However, that shit action scene is somewhat saved by the final scene with 12 and Danny, as it is a charming scene, but I do maintain what I said in the Series 8 video. The Doctor just making sure he's good enough for her is fucking cringe, but it's also a very wholesome scene. So maybe I can slightly forgive it. Also, the episode ends well with Danny showing his likeable and charming nature, talking about their relationship, and I do like this scene a lot. Shame Clara continues to lie to him in almost every other episode. And yeah, the Missy Cock teaser is just as good as usual. So, that was The Caretaker, and is it as bad as people make it out to be? Nah. This episode is just a bit of dumb fun. It really just falls into the same category as The Robot of Sherwood. Not bad, not good, filled with dumb shit, would most likely skip, except I'm less likely to skip this episode. Because it is a lot funnier than Robot of Sherwood's, and the characters are, mostly, very likeable and charming, but when it comes to the plot, this episode isn't really anything special. And if it wasn't for the characters, this episode would be crap. But the Doctor, Clara, and most of Danny make this episode just meh. It's okay. Nothing special really, and it's pretty comparatively lame, especially after reviewing Listen, which was an absolute masterpiece which towers over this episode in every possible aspect. Even though I've edited through Listen like so many times that I'm sick of the sight of it and never want to watch it again, but that's besides the point. Overall, pretty shit, but the characters and comedy can make up for it. Not bad, not good, most likely skip. Up next is... Oh,